What is up, Internet? Today, we're going to replace the reeds in my VForce3 cage. If we look at the back side here, this is the side that actually faces the carburetor. I'm trying to angle this so a little bit of light comes in, but you can kind of see there's a seam there. There's two actually separate pieces. This piece here is the outer piece, and then you've got the actual housing that holds the reeds. So these two pieces actually separate, and then you can replace the individual reeds. These are carbon fiber reeds, and you can kind of see if you lift it up. But basically, back here is the carburetor flowing intake through, and these reeds pop up and let that intake flow through. And there's, before we disassemble, in order to help us reassemble correctly, there's some lettering here on the side. And then if we look on the intake side, there's lettering down here on the outside piece, and there's lettering right here on the inside piece. So use these markers when you reassemble to make sure we reassemble in the same way it was before. Here are the replacement carbon fiber reeds, the two center inserts, and the new cage gasket. The gasket doesn't come with the replacement reeds. You have to order that separately. You don't need to press really hard. The inner cage pops out pretty easily, and then you can just pull off the top and bottom carbon fiber reeds. Next, we'll need to remove the two center inserts that hold the inner reeds from falling out. Little tabs. These are the replacement tabs that come with the kits. So these slide into the center of the reed cage. And I'm going to try and position this so you could see with the limited light. Okay, so there's a little bit of separation. There's two pieces. They're two separate pieces. One for the left, one for the right. And you can see there's a little gap in the center. And that's because I've got this one partially out. Now the instructions tell you to wedge a screwdriver in at like a 45-degree angle. Let me turn it this way like so. And then pry it out. And then you can kind of see, like I just showed you, it's partially sticking out. But I did not make that progress following the instructions. What I did instead was actually wedge the screwdriver into the center where the two pieces, where you can kind of see where they're separated. They're super close to each other, so there's not much of a gap. By pressing the screwdriver in the center and then pushing one out is how I made this progress right here. And then what I'm going to do is just grab it with some needle nose pliers and pull them out. And I've got a set of needle nose pliers right here. And we're just going to yank this guy out. And we're just going to yank this guy out. And we're just, it's in there pretty tight, man. It's in there pretty tight. I'm squeezing these pretty hard. So you can kind of see it coming out there. There it is. And then there's another one for this side. So we're just going to kind of do the same thing. It should be pretty easy now because we've got one out. I'm just going to press it. Try and press it out without stabbing myself. And it's starting to come out a little bit. There it is. For me, that worked a lot better. I tried it the way the instructions said for, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, and I was like, this is dumb. I'm going to find a different way. So that's how I did it. And now the reeds on the inside should be able to just come right off. They're just sitting on tabs similar to the ones on the outside, which we've already pulled off. Okay. So there's one. Now, is this the top or the bottom? This is the top. So I'm just trying to keep things in order, even though I'm not going to do anything with the old ones other than throw them away. So I'm just using a screwdriver to kind of pop them off of the little tab that they sit on. I don't know how well this is going to come through, but the camera seems to be in some kind of dark mode right now. And I don't know why. Probably some button I've touched. But there's tabs. These tabs right here, they're on the inside too. So it looks pretty much the same from what I can tell. All right, we've got all the reeds off, so now we can start the reassembly. Woohoo! I start the reassembly by putting the center reeds in first, and then you just need to make sure that you press them all the way in, they completely bottom out, and press them over the top of the tabs before we insert the new center pieces that are going to hold them in place. Pay close attention to the inserts, the center inserts. One end will be open and the other end will be closed. And that's important because this piece actually slides over the tabs that the reeds sit on, and that's how they basically get held in place. With all the new reeds in place and the reed cage pressed back into that outer piece, we're ready to put it back on the bike. So you're going to go gasket, spacer, and then your reed cage, and then the intake boot that connects to the carburetor. So I think that's a pretty simple job that anybody can do. If I can do it, you can do it. There were a couple of areas where, so the replacement reeds come with, you just call it instructions. They come with instructions, and there's steps on both sides. However, I felt like there were two steps in the instructions that weren't that good. I'm just gonna say it like it is. They weren't that good. The first one was where they tell you to drive a screwdriver in at like a 45-degree angle from the side, and then like pry it out and you just kind of like dig it out. Well, dude, I did that for like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes and was just not having any luck at all. So what I ended up doing was just taking it out from the center, and I think I talked about that in the video. I recorded the clip, but basically there's two pieces, they meet in the middle. Take a screwdriver and pry them apart from each other from the center. There's just gonna be a tiny little gap, and then just take some needle nose pliers and just grab it and pull it out. The other area where I thought the instructions were not that good was when you're putting the new inserts inside. So they tell you to push them in so that they're flush with the outside of the cage, the reed cage. But they tell you to use like a screwdriver, and all I'm gonna say is use something that's bigger than the hole that the inserts go into, because it's easy to just push them way past the flush. Like, you can push them in too far. The other thing I didn't see in the instructions was these little inserts. What they do is, if you look at the way they're cut, they actually slide over the tabs that the reeds go over, right? So you put your reeds in and they sit on those little tabs, and then these little inserts slide across those tabs and keep the reeds from falling off. Well, if you look at them closely, they're open on one end and they're closed on the other end, so that you can't push them in too far, although you can push them in too far. But pay attention to which end is open and which end is closed, because if you don't, you're not gonna be able, if you put the closed end in first, they're not gonna slide over the tabs. They're just gonna hit the first tab and stop. And they didn't really like allude to that. And those little inserts are pretty small. So if you don't look at them really, really closely, you'll miss that one end's open. And that's the end you want to go into the reed cage first. And it'll slide over the tab. And then the other end has got like a little block stopper on it. But it doesn't matter. That little block stopper doesn't matter. I don't even know why they put it on there, because it's not gonna hit, the block stopper is not going to hit that last tab. You know, if you push it in just to the point where the instructions say, where it's flush with the reed cage, it's not going to hit it. So, you know, and then if you got two of them in there, I don't really understand the purpose of it because it doesn't do anything. However, it is what it is. Just pay attention to that. That's it. Pretty easy. Got it back on the bike. One more step closer to actually riding motocross again. Yeah, it is what it is. Project's taking a little bit longer than I thought it would. Keep it upside down. We'll see you guys in the next video.